This is Indian Country Today.
Esquili, thank you for joining us. I'm Patty Thalahungva. Do you remember being a child and dreaming of what you wanted to be when you grew up? Do you have your own children who are thinking and dreaming about what they want to do when they grow up? Or, of course, what you think you might want to do when you're a child often changes as you grow up and learn about other subjects and experience new adventures. But for some, those childhood dreams become reality, and today they are not just professionals, they are winning awards in their chosen careers. Each year, the American Indian Science and Engineering Society honors professionals who are doing outstanding work. Each one at one time was a child with a dream. Kara Cowan-Watts is the 2020 Eli S. Parker Award winner. She is Cherokee and owns and operates her own drilling company today. Welcome, Kara. And Kathleen Jolivet is the 2020 Professional of the Year Award winner. She's Rosebud Sioux and today works for the Boeing Company, where she oversees 4,600 employees. Welcome, Kathleen.
Thanks, Patty. Nice to be here.
And Laura Smith Velasquez is the 2020 Technical Excellence Award winner. She is Cherokee and worked for the Collins Aerospace. Welcome, Laura.
Hello there.
And finally, we have Frances Dupree, who is the 2020 Blazing Flame Award winner. She is Lakota and Northern Arapaho, and she's a Master Sergeant in the U.S. Air Force. Welcome, Frances.
I'm Bete Washde. Good day, everybody.
Well, congratulations to each one of you on winning your awards. And Frances, let's start with you. Give us some background on the name of this award, the Blazing Flame Award.
Yes, ma'am. The Blazing Flame Award is presented to an individual who blazes a path for Native Americans in STEM careers. This award recognizes individuals with 10 plus years of professional experience with significant accomplishments in advancing STEM education and careers.
Wow, and so when you look at your own career, how did you blaze your career path?
Definitely with the help and support of family and friends and mentors and other leaders within the military and the National Security Agency with whom I worked for in the past 4 years.
And we'll get to mentors in just a little bit here, but let me turn to Kara. Tell us who Eli S. Parker was and how this award you received was named after him.
Parker was a chief of the Senecas and a Union Army general. In particular for AISES, this is the highest award or honor bestowed by AISES and one of our first recognized American Indian scientists or engineers.
Wow. And Kara, is this the kind of career that you have today? Is this what you dreamt of when you were a little girl?
No, I'm a complete 80s child, so I watched a lot of trucker movies. I actually wanted to be a trucker. I remember that. And then I wanted to be a vet and I wanted to be a doctor, but I couldn't deal with the real life idea that I would have to tell anyone that a being had passed away. And so that ended up leading me to science or STEM, and in particular engineering. So the Bionic Man and Bionic Woman on television, that was very real for me, and that's how I started down the engineering path.
So that's interesting. So media influenced your career path itself, watching I can't remember the name of the actor, but he was great as the Bionic Man. I remember that series very well.
Yes, I actually wanted to do prosthetics originally, which now biomechanical engineering and those things have advanced since then.
Wow, and so absolutely, so much has changed with technology in all of your career paths. Laura, tell us about your career path. What did you want to be when you grew up, and is that what you're doing today?
So ever since I was a kid, I think I was 8 years old, I was big into science fiction movies, watching Star Trek with my grandmother, and then I love the Anne McCaffrey Dragon Riders of Pern series where they colonize another planet. And so I spent a lot of time actually on a telescope looking up at the stars. And so for me, I grew up with the Cherokee stories of the Milky Way. I don't know if you've ever heard those stories, but they're wonderful. And it really was beautiful to watch it laid out like a river of stars. And that was my first inkling that I wanted to explore the galaxy, and I wanted to be an engineer, an astronaut, and a pilot. And I'm an engineer and I'm a pilot, and I've gotten far enough to be an astronaut candidate. So yeah.
That is absolutely incredible. I mean, you really think about, again, in your case, media played a part in driving your career path. and then to think that, what did it take to get to where you are today? Can you talk a little bit about that? I mean, watching it on TV and kind of considering what you need to do, how did that translate to you actually doing that?
Very much exploration. I'm a 20 questions girl, and I'm the first person to graduate high school in my family. But I was lucky enough that my father decided to go back to school, get his GED, and become an anthropologist. So that was a path that, he had all 6 of us kids. We all chipped in to help him get through college. And so that kind of led me to that first aspect of how. And then trying to figure out what an astronaut is, what are the best chances to become an astronaut. And I really wanted to be a naval aviator and go into the military, but there were only 4 female pilots at that time, and women weren't open to combat. So it wasn't a way that I could go. So I started looking at civilian pilots, and then I discovered Mary Golda Ross. And I was like really excited. So I said, okay, that's the path I want to go. So a little exploration. A big leap too, because we didn't have a lot of money, and my mom literally took me to the dollar store with a duffel bag, and we bought what I might need for college, gave me $20, and then I found my own way from Michigan to Florida, and I got my own full-time job and worked hard.
Wow, it's just, again, hearing your story, hearing all of your stories, it's just incredible to see, where, again, you thought about as a child what you wanted to do, and then how you made that come true. Or, you made a different selection as an adult and made these educational dreams and career dreams come true. Kathleen, same question, because sometimes, it's just hard to imagine what you can be when you're a youngster growing up on a reservation like the Rosebud Sioux Reservation in South Dakota.
Yeah, I grew up, my mother was a nurse, and so that was sort of, what I thought I was going to end up doing. And when I got into high school, I realized it really wasn't a passion of mine. So, school wasn't really a big priority for us. So I just joined the Army out of high school, went in the Army, loved it, really enjoyed it. And then when I got out, it really worked for a couple small companies, but ended up going back to school, getting my degree in accounting, and then ended up at Boeing, lucky for me, and had no idea, no aspiration to be where I am today or even do what I'm doing today. So this was not really, one of my dreams to be working for a company like Boeing and to be in this position today, but through some really hard work and just really flexibility, willing to go anywhere, anytime, the company, wherever they need me, is what it really came down to.
And I think that's a key word that you use there, being willing to go. So being flexible and to actually say yes to opportunities, which I think sometimes it scares people to say yes.
It does, and I mentor folks all the time who are very set in a 5-year plan or a 10-year plan, and anything out of that sort of range is scary. But I've always been wide open to send me where you need me. This is my 4th site at Boeing, so I've been to St. Louis, Philadelphia, Huntsville, Alabama, and now Mesa, Arizona. And I think that's just been a big piece. And, getting that, maybe it's from the military that I got that, just flexibility, being open to new opportunities is maybe where that came from.
And we see that too with Native Americans who go to college. The retention rate, it's so evident that after the first year so many people drop out, and so by the time you reach your 4th year and ready to graduate, the numbers are smaller. So trying to get people to think about being able to go places around the country or even the world, and understanding that you can come home at some point in time, but to let go of that fear of traveling around in the meantime.
Yes. Yeah. I think part of our culture too is our family. The tie to family is so important to us that it's hard even to leave to go to school in the first place. And so thinking beyond that is definitely really difficult for some folks. But just knowing that you can grow up to be someone you never imagined and go places you never imagined is really awesome. And it's really endless, the possibilities. So, take a little bit of I recommend just students being flexible, being open. Don't be so rigid, and it is going to be scary when you start on these new jobs and opportunities, but the learning and the people piece of it is really great.
All right. And Kara, we're talking about mentors. Who were some of your mentors as you went through high school and also in college?
AISES has been integral to my life. In high school, I grew up in the Seminole Nation, not in Cherokee Nation. And there were a lot of people from a community leadership perspective, from a tribal leadership perspective, people that encouraged me, but not in STEM. That didn't happen even in the middle of the oil patch. I was a female Native American. Those were typically white males. So although people were supportive of me, they didn't necessarily encourage me in STEM. It was later in life at Oklahoma State University that I found AISES and fell in love. I mean, that is absolutely my community. So every year coming to that. But on campus every day, that's where I got my energy and my leadership skills as a STEM person, not just for our tribal communities, but in the broader context of these big companies and all that. So AISES for me has been where my mentors have typically come from, such as Mary Golda Ross, those people that were very early, the founders of AISES, the former executive directors, the current executive director. And then also we had the Wilma Mankiller in our own community, even though she's not a STEM person, Chief Chad Smith, who also wasn't a STEM person, but just they helped me provide the leadership example that I needed, not only for what I do out in the community or in AISES or in our tribal communities, but here at work. They showed what it was like to be an executive, to manage employees and value them because they're part of your family. Thank you for that question, Patty.
That's really important. I mean, to think about that. And so today, how are you turning around and mentoring other young people in your capacity, Kara?
So whenever possible, I sit down and try to have coffee or take them for a meal if they've asked questions about how to get help for a job or if there's a difficult situation. Even in 2020, as minority women, whether we have the full appearance or not. So obviously I'm mixed. Not everyone recognizes me as Indian, but we still get discriminated against. And even what I consider minor discrimination compared to other people that I know that are very identifiable, it's a problem still. It's almost worse in 2020. I can't figure out why we've went backwards. So if somebody calls or texts me and there's an urgent matter, I try to find a time that week to sit down and work through it with them and be someone who not only listens, but sits down and try to create an action plan with them about how they're going to figure out how to own that situation and move forward in a positive way, not just for themselves, but their organization, even if maybe that's an exit plan because there's no other choice. We have to own our careers.
Very, very true here. And Frances, what about you when it comes to mentoring or mentoring other young people?
Yes, I was listening to Kathleen earlier, and I second her saying about how family, especially in the Native community, is so important. Tiwahe Mitawa Ki Tonka, my family is large. So as a young child and adolescent, I had so much family around, so many cousins. Barely had room for friends, but my unchi, Louise Egotel Quickbear, and my stepmother. Sorry, I knew I didn't want to get emotional talking about them. they played a huge role in my upbringing for sure. So when you talk about mentors, when I was a child, they were definitely there, a good support system. When she would tell me how smart I was, even and push me to stay in school, and join the Air Force, just like my uncle and my cousin. And without my stepmother being there, I wouldn't have graduated high school for sure. And then after high school, just like Kathleen, she joined the Army, but after high school, I joined the Air Force. And talking about mentors in the military, so many to count for sure. There's definitely good leadership in the Air Force, and I'm grateful for being part of the United States Air Force for 19 years, and how I try to give that back, because I'm still, gaining knowledge and wisdom from others. But how I like to give that back, or try to give that back, is talking to students, especially AISES was a huge part of that for me. Without working with a national security agency, I probably wouldn't have known about AISES, because we became sponsors, I want to say, years ago for AISES, and engaging with the students is like one of the most wonderful experiences that I've had, and I still try to mentor them along the way. Specifically, I met a Lakota student from Rapid City, South Dakota, and my husband and I both try to mentor him. I'm not in the STEM field, but being in the Air Force and working with NSA, I got to take part in the AISES conferences and so forth. So I'm sorry, I'm pregnant, so that's probably why I'm also getting emotional too.
No, it is emotional when you think about the people who helped you, that took that time to care about you, to care about your dreams, and then to help guide you. I think it is emotional, because it takes a lot to go off to college and then to go around the country for your career. And so sometimes you're taken away from your family support group. So that's totally understandable. And it's great that you have that family. You have the family around you to support you. Let's talk about the best part of your career, what you're doing today, and give us an idea. What's the best part of your career? And I'll start with you, Frances.
Oh, wow. There's a lot of moments for sure. But currently, the United States Space Force has stood up, and I'm kind of a part of that. I'm not in the Space Force, but I'm still a part of that because I'm currently the Space Intelligence Surveillance Reconnaissance Delta 7's Operations Superintendent here at Peterson-Schriever Garrison in Colorado. I know that's a lot, but basically I'm part of a new organization as an intelligence analyst. So I think that currently happening is a really good experience to be part of something new and be able to help drive the future of what the Space Force will be.
And that's pretty exciting. I mean, because most of us just kind of watch it on TV or read about it in the news, but you're right there with a front row seat to all of this.
Yes.
And so what about you, Laura? What's the best part of your career?
All the different things I get to do. I'm a human factors and systems engineer, so pretty much my degree applies to just about any field. So I've designed the en route air traffic control system. I've designed unmanned systems for the Army. I did Shadow. I've gotten to design flight deck avionics. I did advanced Hawkeye E2D flight deck. And then I also, now I take all that engineering experience in all those different domains, and I get to do research and technology development. So I get to break down technology barriers to make really neat things happen. And so now I'm doing that in autonomy and supersonics, and just being able to apply all my expertise that I've learned in the past to going forward and creating new ideas and new things that'll help people in our environment and everything. So I just asked the question, like, why can't we do that? Well, let's figure it out.
I love that. I love that. Why can't we do that? Let's figure it out. And as someone who loves to travel, globally, thank you for your work. And you also have 5 patents on this technology. Talk a little bit about some of those patents that you have.
Yeah, NASA originally came to us and they said that they had supersonic wave propagation. And I was thinking, oh, there's processing technology in the flight deck is just so much advancement. We could actually use this so that you know where your sonic boom is. So one of the things it started doing is improving the processing power of that wave propagation, but then also implementing it in flight deck technology with graphical flight planning so pilots understand where their sonic boom signature hits the ground and then can actually modify their flight plan. But that's very labor intensive, and I didn't want operators to have to become physicists. So that's where the patents and the creativity started coming, is actually automating some of that decision making and skills and being able to show the pilot in creating technology that is very intuitive and actually does a lot of the decision space work for them so that they can choose options and they can do it real time in the flight deck as they're flying, and they can actually control their boom signature as they're flying. And so it's a predictive technology as well into the future.
Wow, that's incredible. I'm just getting a visual image of all of this as you're talking, and again, that's a part of it, isn't it? Just imagining what you can do, and you know, as you all have said, you know, go out there and say, why, you know, what can we do and how can we do it? Kara, today you have a company, Tulsa Pier Drilling, and it's in 2 different states. Give us an example of what your company does.
Foundation drilling. So we drill up to 12 with our in-house equipment. So what we already have readily available, we drill up to a 12-foot diameter hole up to 125 feet deep, depending on the soil conditions. We maintain a small fleet of 5 drill rigs and employ local people. Our team is under 20 right now, and we travel all over the United States. I have 2 companies, Tulsa Pier Drilling, which is licensed to do business most places, but Tulsa or Arkansas requires different licensing. So we have a Tulsa Pier Drilling Arkansas just for work in Arkansas. And it's so exciting because after you serve for 12 years on tribal council in Cherokee Nation or Indian country, like I did, we talk about economic development. You know, we make all sorts of smoke and mirrors and everyone gets to, you know, claim they've done this, but to actually create jobs and to develop employees and, you know, pay them what you hope is better than what others pay and bring benefits to the table without gaming dollars, it is truly rewarding. And we get to build America's infrastructure. I sent you pictures of what we're working on for the Oklahoma Department of Transportation for a bridge. We also do transmission lines, cell towers, all sorts of stuff. And it's just really exciting when you drive by, even though you can't really see what we do, except maybe the top, right where it comes up and it attaches to a tower or bridge. It is absolutely exciting to know that we helped build America. So.
Wow. You know, I have to say, I just feel smarter listening to all of you and the work that you do, because it is vital, as you mentioned, Kara, all of your work, and we don't even know how your work impacts our lives. We just know we benefit from that. So before we go, one quick piece of advice for the young people out there who are watching, or maybe their parents can tell them about who you are and what you're doing. One quick bit of advice from each one of you about, you know, encouraging that young person out there watching. And I'll start with you, Kara.
And thank you, Patty. I would say I would pass on what others have told me. Never let anyone say you can't do it, and just dig in. If you want to be an astronaut, if you want to be a bridge builder, whatever those things are, go find the experts in it. Go dig in and make it happen. Don't expect it to happen to you. Go learn how to do it and do the hard work that it takes to become the best at whatever you want to be. If that's underwater basket weaving, make it that.
Okay. And Laura, what's your piece of advice?
Don't be afraid to be different. Have the courage to be yourself and do what you're really passionate and excited about. You don't have to know everything, but you can learn it. And then also, don't be afraid to take risks and break down those barriers. Have confidence in yourself and know that you'll find a way, because you can do it.
Oh, very good. And Frances, what about you? What's your piece of advice to the young people out there watching?
I'll say similar to the others, take on opportunities, take risks, do what you're passionate about, what you love to do. Don't give up. Don't give up. You can be that voice. You can be the Indigenous leadership now and in the future and make changes.
Very good. And Kathleen, one quick thought from you, please.
I think just dreaming big, no limitations, and don't be scared to just jump into the deep end of the pool and go for it.
Very good. Well, I want to thank each one of you for being with us today to tell us about your amazing careers and the work that you do that has won you awards from AISES. Thank you, Kathleen, Laura, Kara, and Francis.
Thank you, Patty.
Loksha, thank you.
Wado.
And thank you for joining us. Take care of yourselves. Your life is precious. I'm Patty Thalahungva. Join us again on Monday.
You got to take a stand just because you know you can. Oh, you got to run, you got to run.
Indian Country Today is recorded at the Phoenix Indian School Visitor Center in Phoenix, Arizona.
This is Indian Country Today.